Today we'll start talking on the sutra on Amitabha Buddha. Now everybody got to have this book. Now this book, if you look at the front cover, it's called the Smaller Sukhavati Vyuha. Sukhavati Vyuha. And I will explain it to you what it means. At the beginning of today, I said we survived the 21st. Some people predicted that December 21st was the last day for everybody. I thought about it yesterday and I said, if it really happened that we passed away yesterday, what would happen to us if we passed away yesterday? The Buddha said we have an afterlife. We have a life before, we have a present life, we have an afterlife. Actually, we have afterlives. We have a lot of lives after if we don't get out of the 6 paths of reincarnation. We always will be reincarnating life after life and life after life. And if we have to die, everybody has to. No, anybody here who does not have to die, raise your hand. No, everybody has to die. No exception. Why don't we think about this after-death situation? Do we have to think about it? I think we should think about it. What happened after we died? I can think of 2 possibilities. Of course, there's a lot of possibilities. It's just like when people ask me, is 21st the last day? I always say, no, we're going to survive. And he said, that's a smart answer. Why? Because if we die, who's going to testify that you're right or you're wrong? So if you say, we'll survive on the 21st, and if you're right, so we can talk about it, we say, oh, you're right, we didn't die. But if we died, nobody's going to testify you. So if after this life we have to die, then we want to make sure that we go to a place that is good for us. And 2,600 years ago, on one occasion, the Buddha mentioned a place, a location, a world that we can go after death. That is to say, if we follow the Buddhist teaching, we meditate, we do it every day, and we get enlightened in this life. In other words, with our self-efforts, we reach nirvana. And after body, we shut off this body, then we don't go into reincarnation, we go to nirvana, a place where we achieve complete enlightenment, a place where we say, anuttara samya sambuddhi, or a place where no more suffering, no more pain for us. But we want to go there, we have to work at it. In other words, you have to use your self-efforts to work at it every day, purifying your karma, then you go to nirvana, then no more reincarnation. What happened to those that we tried our very best in this life? We don't succeed. We still have to go to reincarnation. The Buddha said, don't go into reincarnation, the 6 paths of reincarnation again. For all those who don't get enlightened, go to the Pure Land, the land of bliss. And one day, the Buddha disclosed that such a location, such a world that we can go, even though we haven't gotten enlightened in this world, we still can go to that world where no more reincarnation. And we call that the expedient means of the practice. The land where Amitabha Buddha was in there teaching all sentient beings who were living in there to attain enlightenment. In other words, in this world, we have a lot of teachers, a lot of gurus telling you about the Buddhist teaching, and you follow the Buddhist teaching, then you get enlightened. But for those who don't get enlightened, what happened? You want to go to that Pure Land, where Amitabha Buddha was there teaching you to become the Buddha. If I am teaching you to become the Buddha, your chance of success is slim. Because I'm not a Buddha. I'm like you. I'm not the Buddha yet. But if you have the Buddha teaching you to be the Buddha, your chance of success is extremely high. Your probability is probably about more than 90%. It's a matter of time. Because in that world, the principal is Amitabha Buddha. The assistant principal or the assistant professor is Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. Another assistant professor is Mahapasmaprapta Bodhisattva. So there are two Bodhisattvas there. And there are also many, many arahats in there. There are many, many anagamins in there, sakkridagamins in there. There are many saints in there who are your friends, who are your fellow students. So with them, in that university, your chance of retrogressing into the samsara world of suffering is extremely slim. So, how do we go there? We have to die anyway. So, why don't we plan on when we die, we don't roll into reincarnation again, no more suffering for us. And one day the Buddha disclosed this world, and in the sutra it is called the smaller Sukhavati Vyuha. And I plan to talk on it, research on it with you, everybody, talk about it. The content of the sutra, or the concept, the main concept of going to the Pure Land, going to Amitabha's land, actually it's quite analogous to, it's more or less similar to another religion going to heaven. There's another religion that say, oh, if we believe in God, and God would take us to heaven. Everybody wants to go to heaven. But the Buddha's sutra contains a lot of details about the how, the when, the where, the why. A lot of more details than just say, come to God's heaven. Not just going there, how to go there. You've got to have the map. You've got to have to pack up a get all ready. Get the map, fill up your knapsack with all the food required to go on to your journey. How do we get there? So we need to know all these details. And all these details are here. Not just say, I want to go to heaven. Not enough. So then on second thought, I said, the Buddha's religion never discriminate any other religion. Because they're going to heaven. It's just a matter of, have they got the map, but they've got the details. The intention is the same in this kind of approach. Of course, the Buddhist teaching contains a lot of approaches. One of the approaches is meditation. Another approach is tantric Buddhism. Many, many approaches. And this, the Sukhavati Vyuha, or going to the land of bliss, is the approach. We call it the heavenly approach. We can call it the heavenly approach, which is quite similar to believing in God and going to heaven after death. But if you're always committing sin, can you say, when I die, I just say, God, forgive all my sins, and I can go there. Is it that easy? It's not that easy. You got to get prepared. You have to know the why, the when, the how. And it's all contained in here. It's all contained in the sutra. Now this sutra is called the smaller Sukhavati Vyuha, but this is one of the many translations. This name was translated by Max Muller. Max Muller was a Sanskrit expert, a German scholar who translated the Buddhist teaching from Sanskrit into English. So in other words, It's not translated from Chinese. You don't think that the Chinese monk went over to India, learned the Chinese, the Indian language, and then translated into Chinese, and then somebody translated it later. Somebody translated it from Chinese into English. No, it's just directly from Sanskrit. Max Muller found the Sanskrit script, the Sanskrit scripture in India, and he translated it directly from Sanskrit. What does that tell us? That tells us that it's not fictitious, it's a real sutra, a truthful sutra. Now today I just want to give an introduction. Maybe it takes about two lectures, two occasions. Maybe the next session we'll do a little bit of introduction, because you should know about all these things before actually getting into the sutra. Let's deal with it in detail. We have more patience to deal with it in detail so that you understand it properly. Sukhavati Vyuha. What does Sukhavati Vyuha means? Sukhavati, if you are taking notes, you can take this down. Sukhavati is Vyuha, is a Sanskrit word. Sukhavati means realm of bliss, or the land of happiness. And Vyuha means magnificent display. That means the Buddha talked about this land of bliss, the magnificence of this land of bliss, where people who pass away from this world can go over there. Of course, there are conditions, there are methods used to go over there. It's all contained in the sutra. This sutra also is called the Sutra on Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha, A-M-I-T-A-B-H-A. Muller prefers to use the name Sukhavati Vyuha to Amitabha, but many translators translated it into just Amitabha, the Sutra on Amitabha Buddha. So if you are using internet to search for information, you should search the Sutra on Amitabha Buddha. What's the meaning of Amitabha? Mitta, let's take a look at Mitta. Mitta means that can be measured or measurable. If you put A in front, it's just it's immeasurable. It's immeasurable. So Amitta means immeasurable. Ba, B-H-A, ba means light. So this is the Buddha of immeasurable light. Amitabha means immeasurable light Buddha. It's also called Amitabha. Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha means immeasurable, right? Now, A-M-I-T-A-Y-U-S. I think there's an S there. A-Y-U-S. Amitabha. Amitabha. So Amitabha is the same, immeasurable. What's the meaning of use? Y-U-S. It means life, immeasurable life. That means infinite life. So this Buddha it's also called the Buddha of infinite light, and also the Buddha of infinite lifetime, length of lifetime, longevity. It has two names. He has two names. Light stands for the essence of Tathagata. In other words, the essence of truth. Light symbolizes wisdom. The wisdom is immeasurable. It contains the truth in there. It contains the Anuttara Samya Sambuddhi. It contains the real mind, let's call it. There's so many names for the truth. So light means the wisdom part of it. Life, longevity, means the uses of it. The uses of it relates to the world. The wisdom of it relates to the truth. Because you use this body to practice Buddhism. Light signifies going beyond form. And life, longevity, signifies form. You need, it's both. One coin has two sides. The wisdom side, the side that you can see, you can feel, you can touch, and the other side is the form. It's just like light. Light contains two things, the light itself and the bulb. Without a bulb, you cannot express the light. Without the light, the bulb is dead. So you actually, it's in one and two, two in one. So that's why this Buddha has two names. Let me remind you, this practice is very important, especially to senior people. Because if you're very young, maybe you have a lot of time to meditate, you have a lot of time to follow the Buddhist teaching. But if you are not very young, it's time to go to the Pure Land. It's time to go to that land of happiness. Don't stay around in here anymore. Not worth it. A lot of suffering in this world. Now, when you are there, you learn and you become the Buddha, you can come back. A lot of sentient beings vow, in their vow they say, when I die, I don't want to get into the samsara of reincarnation. I want to go to the land of happiness where I learned from Buddha Amitabha, and if I get into nirvana, then I come back as a Buddha, and then I start to help all others. In other words, I want to learn how to swim first before I can save all those people who are drowning. I still want to come back, but I want to learn it first. I want to be the Buddha first. And there are some people who vow to say, no, I'm so earnestly want to save sentient beings that I don't need to be the Buddha first. I'm learning at the same time. In other words, I'm learning to become the Buddha, and at the same time I'm doing this charity work. I'm doing this compassionate saving sentient beings work. I don't wait. That is Siddhikapa Bodhisattva. You know Siddhikapa Bodhisattva? He vowed to say, I won't become the Buddha until hell is empty. In other words, I don't want to go to the Pure Land now, for living in there and learn. I want to live with people who suffer. I want to be with them and learning at the same time. I don't want to get away from my folks and be in that land of bliss. I want to be with them. But not a lot of people have that kind of courage and energy. Some people say, no, I can't swim, how can I help? Let me learn how to swim. I will come back, but let me learn how to swim first. How can I save drowning people if I myself don't know how to swim? Who is right and who is wrong? It's your choice. You're always given a choice. It's great, you know, the Buddhist teaching is great. You're always given a choice. That's what we like in here in North America, striving for democracy. Which choice do you want? Don't say this one is better than the other. They're both good.